Click on that. All right. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes. We are streaming, but I'm going to give a couple more minutes for people to join before we start this up. Talk your dog. Stop. Right. So the only thing is I'm not going to be able to see that chat while I'm doing this because my screen is this slideshow. So I am watching on my phone. I am watching the Twitch just to see if anybody chats in there, kind of like I did last time. Are you guys, Edgar, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, and Alex just logged in.
Oh, good. Okay, so, Alex, I was just saying we were going to wait. I'm going to wait until 5 past to let the latecomers in, and then we're going to start the.
Hans said he's going to go to Twitch.
Yeah, that way. Yeah, he was on Twitch last time. I mean, he's more than welcome as one of the champs. He's more than welcome to pitch into the Discord chat if he wants to do so.
I don't think he does. He doesn't do the voice chat, from my understanding.
It was Higher. That's right. It was Higher Growth that joined Alex and I at the end of the last one. So yeah, I've reached out to Feep to see if he can watch the stream and give me some pointers on how to adjust volume and all that stuff to make it come out a little bit better. Also, Alex Cavo PM'd me and he's like, "You should talk to Alex and Dole about putting together a little musical bit for your streams." And I was like, you know what? That's a pretty cool idea. I'll talk to him.
See what we can come up with.
You know what? I am just going to start because we're all here and we told people and they can always watch.
Yeah, Scott's going to be here. He's going
to be a little bit late, he said. But
wait, where's your damn Twitch thing?
Do a search for Breaking Dad 73.
Never mind. I remembered it in my Google. Okay.
All right, you guys ready to start this? Edgar and Alex, you ready to start this?
Yeah, I suppose so.
All right.
Yeah.
Hello, GLB2 community. It was requested, and we had a little bit of time on our hands. Not much, but we put together a champions stream. We're calling it. So we can celebrate the champions. And with that, we'll kick it off. In the Pumpkin League, Dr. Edgar's Pushback are the champions. They won their championship game 24-10 over Gridiron Ghoulies. I kind of looked at the game and looked at GLB2 and picked who I thought, based on stats and stuff, would be the MVP of that game. Edgar, you're here with us, so if you disagree with me, who your MVP should be, feel free to say so. But based on the numbers and on GLB2, I thought that your halfback, Don't Touch Me, with 243 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns, right, deserved the ball. So, Edgar, Edgar, it's your team. Do you want to talk first, or do you want Alex to talk before you?
I can let him talk first. I know it's itching for him to talk.
Why do we want me to talk first about your team? You talk about your team.
All right, fair enough. Going into the game, I was worried, to be honest, purely worried because throughout the season, Bo's Ghoulies team has had that annoying power wide receivers, which he added one just to the Ghoulies halfway through the season and really wasn't using them. So we knew he was coming at me with them because he could see zone just would not react. Looking through games, I just kind of was like, even I talked to Alex some about it, where I was like, dude, I think I have to use these plays, but every time I play, for some reason, I have all this power tackling, and I keep missing tackles. This is not going to be good. Then I actually looked last night. The last 10 games, I have a star-free safety that hasn't been playing, and he's like my best tackler on the team. So I got lucky that I actually decided to look things over, saw I had there's a depth chart bug for franchise teams that pops up, and I found it, so I had to redo my depth chart from scratch. That way I had him, and yeah, I just basically went into that game saying, I'm not going to let this guy beat me with these wide receiver screens, because that's from what he's played me this year in any game with any of his teams. If he doesn't have those, he doesn't touch me with a 10-foot pole. So I took it out, and it worked, thank God. And on offense, that was the one without a doubt on offense, don't touch my halfback, just absolutely dominated him. But I basically looked at it and said, he's running 3-3-5 on everything, which means my tight end's untouched, and I can just run off tackle and let the tight end touch a linebacker and have 3 yards.
Good game plan.
And then I'll be right back.
All right, Alex. Before we go to the next one, do you want to say? Well, and while he's going away, do you want to say anything, Alex?
I don't know if I have too much to say about this game in particular. It's more so the thing I've noticed about Bo's teams in general lately is he's really favoring that 3-3-5 defense, which if you haven't bothered looking at it, is surprisingly effective. I remember when I was scouting him for Staying Inside, because Staying Inside played Gridiron Ghoulies on the way to this championship game. And I thought, okay, well, we've got a full superstar O-line. He's running 3-3-5. That's just money in the bank, right? You just run right at it. The guards pick up the linebackers. There's just one linebacker that goes free. That should be, like I said, just money in the bank, right? Just run right at it and it's fine. It doesn't work that way for some reason. The linebackers are in 3-3-5 especially adept at finding those holes. I know you and I talked about this once, right? Where anytime an O-line makes a hole for the offense, they're equally making that hole for the defense, right? So think about 3-3-5. Those linebackers find that gap, and they're especially good at stopping inside runs. So that was the big thing that actually ended up costing us in our game that we played against him. So it's a cool defense that Bo has.
Very cool. All right, moving on to the next champion. I kind of did these by the time when I set them up. My school paid me to do so. During my prep time, I set up my slideshow. The Jupiter League. We have Rabid Lizards, Grape Apes. I'm guessing that was coached by Alex. As our Jupiter League champions, winning 38-21 over Ryan Leaf's Revenge. And I chose, much like I told Edgar, if the MVP that I chose you don't agree with, which I think you will agree with in this case, please feel free to drop in your 2 cents. But I felt like halfback stupid sexy Slombo with his 291 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. He himself, well, if you count a touchdown, that's 7 points, matched Ryan Leaf's output, his team output. Alex, do you wish to speak to this game?
Well, I mean, there's not that much different about this game for me than the Sing Inside game, as far as the defense goes or the offense goes, because Ryan Leaf or Bo ran the same kind of defense on this team as the Ghoulies. So I kind of had to look at it a game beforehand to see like, okay, inside running doesn't work. What can I do? And I noticed that 3-3-5, a lot like 5-2, has an inherent weakness to off tackle runs for some reason. And that's kind of what Salombo does anyway. So that was kind of a beneficial alignment there. Outside of that, Salombo is the MVP in this game. I think the best running back in the game. Credit to Scott because he's the one that actually put stiff arm on this halfback against my recommendation, and it's been great.
Because stiff arm is amazing on halfbacks that can turn and have all the power.
Yeah.
Oh, Scott's here.
Welcome, Scott.
Yeah. The only other thing about this game really is I incorporated screens, which I'm a famous screen hater. And so it caught Bo by surprise, I guess, much like someone else did to me. Later on in the day.
Yes, we'll be talking about that in a little bit. Welcome aboard, Scott. Scott or Edgar, do either of you have anything that you want to say about this this matchup? Is this 2 in a row for the Gray Babes?
This is 2 in a row.
It is.
I would have been the undisputed fucking Wizard King, but it didn't fit.
This was a game, going in, I think it kind of had the same. The difference of this one was, even if Bo used the wide receiver screen, which he tried some, Gray Babes are naturally a man team where like pushback was zone. So where I had to use man plays to try to deal with it. Gray Babes could just use their regular plays, and I expected going into it, it's like, I looked at that game and went, like, if Alex just didn't game plan on defense, he'd lose bad. But he knew it. He went in and changed. And if you look through the leagues, Great Babes blitz all the time. And in this game, you go see, and they blitzed never. And I think I even saw him move depth charts because I have a player or two there. And I noticed one of my linebackers was doing something different. And I'm like, I've never seen him play there. But actually, he made plays there. So watching the game, he actually took his time to do it, which is something Alex doesn't do a lot. Yeah. And sometimes, and he says he's lazy because sometimes I've seen him do this and someone basically just does the opposite that his normal would have worked on and he gets upset. But he took the time, and that is one is the snow just really got Bo big for whatever reason.
So yeah, what actually happened in this game was our left outside linebacker is primarily a blitzer. He blitzes every single play, and we use a superstar strong safety over there because if we blitz the left outside linebacker every play, it forces the strong safety to take the tight end, right, no matter what. So which is useful because in man plays, sometimes the strong safety will take the tight end, sometimes he won't, sometimes he'll double cover, sometimes he won't. So this forces it to happen. But in this game, that would be really, really bad for me because single coverage on Bo's tight end is a dissonance. So I moved the blitzing linebacker over to the middle linebacker. He has no man awareness, but at a middle linebacker, I don't care about that. He's covering the halfback anyway. All he has to do is just run wherever the halfback's running. It'll be fine. And he also has a 100 break run block. So he can just sit there with a gold shed block in the middle of the field and be fine. Normally, Edgar's linebacker is the right outside linebacker, so he got moved over to left outside, and then our other superstar linebacker got moved to right outside linebacker because the blocking tight end would go to that side, and we wanted to have stronger pass protection over there. And then just don't blitz, because if you blitz, you'll die to the screen.
And the other thing Alex did on offense, it's the same thing I did to push back, and we didn't talk to each other about that. It just happened and hilarious because we both played Bo's teams. And we both just inherently looked at it and mentally knew, okay, what does snow do to teams? We always know it makes you slower, and with all that wind, long throws are harder. So both of us basically removed those from our offense. Neither one, and you can see that we both did well from it. And when you watch the games outside of screens, Bo kept trying to throw deep. Well, snow hurts deep throws. Unless you're Scott on the last second double overtime win. But you turn around and
keep talking.
What did we see? We saw, okay, hey, we'll just passing when I ran a scrimmage early in the morning. We saw, passing's working for some reason. And it ended up being, hey, when you run the cutting routes where your tight end receivers are making lots of cuts, it's not that their spring's not hurt. It's just the fact that now that they're making cuts, the defenders' physicals are impacted just as much, if not more, than your offensive players, because awareness is also hurt, which is what helps defenders move. So then your offensive guys running routes, and I kind of see that all day. The teams that won in passing outside of just screens, they didn't just try to throw it deep all the time. They used routes that the tight ends and wide receivers were making break out routes and corner routes and such.
That's a very cute dog.
Thanks.
I can't lie, I got distracted for a second looking at it.
I was just smiling at this dog. Yeah, actually, these two games, Pushback's game and the Grey Boots game, kind of had me thinking that maybe our understanding of passing in the snow is wrong. I think actually I might change my philosophy on that. I think it's possible to pass in the snow now. Watching these games, they can't get worse in this game, right? So if you can pass in this, what can't you pass in?
But I do think that it largely depends on builds too, because
Absolutely.
Builds absolutely.
I think you just can't be straight line speed. You need way more quickness in the snow.
Yeah,
I can imagine some good balance would help as well. I'm really like
that's a topic we don't want to get into on balance right now on receivers.
So I also like the whole hometown hero and road warrior, essays just especially on receivers preparing for the.
Yeah, I'd actually be curious to know if Bo has it on his offense, because almost all offenses I run mandatorily have at least silver hometown hero road warrior, sometimes even gold, but at least silver on every player just about. So if he didn't have it, that might be a big reason why I came away with the win today.
All right, moving on to the next one. Our next champion in the Iron League is Armada's Armada. They won 13-10 over High Growth. I'm kind of over the whole Armada hype. Keeping himself unknown, good, fine. You want to play that game. I'm not going to spend a lot of my time, hyping you up. One season, fine. It was cool. Nice little gimmick. Now reveal yourself, or like I said, in my streams, I'm not going to give you the time of day. I thought the MVP of the game was Armada's defense. Do you guys want to say anything about this game? Because I'm done.
I actually didn't get a chance to watch this game, but I did see the box score. I was just surprised that the High Growth wasn't able to run better. Was the only real thing. I think in the pregame I even mentioned it, right? That it's a power back in the snow, it's just a no-brainer. But yeah,
I watched the game. It was a good game. The big thing is, Hot Hands mentioned it was a big high turnover game, which it was. But the big part was you could tell clearly Armada run tagged a lot of it. But it goes back to that topic of what the vet leagues teams did to win that these ones didn't. And Higher Growth had some just kind of odd plays. And when I was streaming it, I think he came in and talked a little. And it was just simply that he was using a lot of just trying to throw deep throws in the snow at rookie of all levels versus every so often you'd see he called shakes or he called some type of tight end out or even a wide receiver in or out route, and they worked decently. So it was just simply his passing play selection was really bad. And he also didn't run enough. To start the first two drives, he ran 3 or 4 times straight and was getting great yards, and then he'd go for this pass and get incompletion, and now he's set behind on his numbers on the down. So he kind of was in negative yardage situations, being behind where he needed to be to keep running it. So I think he got too caught up in trying to be balanced rather than in a game like that, just leaning more run to.
would say too, right? If you're a newer coach or kind of an experience still in some of these higher stakes games, if you believe in your running offense, right, run 100% on first down. What's the worst that can happen, right? It's a positive play almost every single time. At worst, you're
Hey, Alex, by the way, Bo does not have Hometown Hero or Road Warrior on his tight end or receivers.
He said that his team loves snow now, but you can't say that with a straight face and not have Hometown Hero Road Warrior. But if you believe in your run game, though, run at people 100% on first down. It's always going to get you yardage. Like I said, at worst, you're in like a 2nd and 8, and then sure, you can always pass if you feel like that's the way you need to go for that game. But if nothing else, the yardage is a little bit easier. You're less likely to take a sack. It just, and on the positive side of it is, right, if you do get yardage, you get 6, 7, 8 yards a clip, well, run it at them again. You know, that's how you win games like this in the snow.
You know, you're absolutely right for this. You can even look at it. You don't have to go 100% run, but at least lean 70% or more. Because you can also throw in, you go, you know, and I think this is where it gets some of them because they're still learning and they're so worried about the concept of, oh, they're going to beat me in tags. And like Alex is notorious for running 50-50 on all his tactics. Me and him, I fight him all the time over it. And it works sometimes because then you get into, well, if they just run tag me on first down, well, now I've gotten 1 yard and I'm behind the sticks where I need to be on second down. But you can still, like, he's right, lean on that run game when you're confident in it. And if you throw in 20 or 30% pass, so now at least you're still guaranteed to run mostly, at least then, if you just throw it a little bit, you're also, the more times you run it, the less their pass rush gets strong. So it also helps you in aspects of if you throw it 20% of the time on first down, now you're actually getting a chance to get bigger yardage on first down with that pass that you may get a pass on a run tag, but at least you're still leaning on that run for the sake.
I agree with that 100%. That's basically the way I tried to play the last 5 or 6 games with Green Bay Freeze.
And look, I don't.
You switched it all up on me. Like I was talking earlier about how I copycatted your passing offense because I was so impressed by it, and then like the next 2 times I play you, like you're running more than you were, and because of that, and because you had just good offense. I
game planned 5 games all season, and you were 2 of them. So that should definitely be a badge of pride.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm interested sometime to like you guys were talking about Bo, and such. I'm interested to see what the scouting report is like on me from you guys.
I was going to do a coach breakdown at some point. Like this is what they usually do. We kind of go to a deep dive on a coach and talk about their traits and aspects and all that.
It'd be really interesting to see what people think from the scouting and then actually reveal it at the end.
Oh, that would be cool. Like you can't see who this coach is. Here's his games. Here's what he calls. That would be kind of fun. Who is it?
Yeah, I think that'd be really fun.
Another thing I would say, though,
I'll put it on the list of streams.
Yeah, mystery coach. One other thing I would say, though, about this, right, about the whole run 100% on first down, things like that. Like, I think a lot of coaches, especially newer ones, get kind of worried that, like, I pass a lot, so I can't really rely on the pass in the playoffs, or I run a lot, everyone knows I'm going to run through the playoffs. Guys, like, the whole point of game playing, if you're going to do it, is to find weaknesses that your opponents can't account for, right? Like, if you change nothing and you just go 100% run on game, yeah, I expect that would probably lose you the game. But in the case of like Bo Diddley, you look at what they're doing. They run a lot of 3-3-5 defense. Okay, what is it good at? Running inside. It's great at defending that. Okay, what is it bad at? Off tackle runs. It's horrifically bad at defending off tackle runs. Bo Diddley obviously tagged the Grape Apes in that game for the run. It didn't matter because Ags can't overcome inherent deficits of a defensive formation. Find what you're good at attacking and attack it. Don't be afraid of it.
335 is really good inside, but like you're saying, it's not great at off tackle. It's good against screens. It's good against inside run. It's good against the pass. It's terrible against off tackle.
All right, moving on to the next champion.
We had this whole conversation, nothing to do with the Iron League game.
Yeah, we talked about. I thought we
we did a little bit, but
about that
on a tangent.
Adjourn, can you remove where it says Hutch 1900 very turnover heavy right there? On the Twitch, it's covered up part of your
I don't know if you
PowerPoint.
can see it on his.
How's it coming up?
Oh,
I don't. Wow, that's weird.
You have like an overlay to display the chat, which is cool, but it is kind of right in the.
I don't know how to change that. Hopefully, it's going to go away. That's weird. That must have been showing up in my other ones before.
Yeah, the past like 3 or 4. I thought you knew it. That's why it was there.
Yep.
Why the fuck is your dragon so cute?
Actually, you know what? Is it showing up over the dragon, or on my screen it's showing up over?
No, it's showing up over underdogs. And underdogs, yeah.
All right, let me do this then, maybe, because I don't know how to do that right now in whoops, going back. Where I'm going to do this? I know I went forward. This is what I'm going to do. I might have to. Oh man, am I going to have to do this on every?
No, don't get it. It's okay. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
Just
before the next show. I promise.
No worries.
So I want to go back this way though. That was over high growth. Okay. Yeah, and I still was hoping high growth was going to win that game. This one I'm super excited about. I mean, well, actually, I have mixed feelings because it's 2 of the newer players. They're both, I hated to see one of them have to lose. I've done more with hot hands. I've worked more with hot hands than I have with Monsoon. But I'm glad to see one of them get their first owner championship. This one is hot hands underdogs, 31-0 over the Orcs. There's so many ways I did not expect this to happen. For the Orcs to get shut out, for the Orcs to let up 31, because normally Monsoon's calling card is his defense. I have here the MVP is pretty sneaky. The elusive halfback, pretty sneaky, with 126 yards and three touchdowns. So, what was I going to say? Swamp, if you can join us, I'd love to hear your thoughts on your game, what you did, and what you tried to do, and such. If you don't want to join us on the Discord chat, if you want to type something for us while you're here in the Twitch, type something in the Twitch chat. We've got you here. I'd love to hear from you, buddy, and congratulations on your first championship. Did you guys watch this? I was at school all day. When I had time, I was working on the slideshow.
Yeah.
So
I did not get a chance to watch the full thing, but I think the biggest difference from what I've seen so far is underdogs just matched the plays to the situations better.
Yeah, I actually take umbrage with pretty sneaky having the MVP here, because to my mind, the defense here is the MVP. He allowed 56 total yards of offense in that game.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I actually did that for some other teams. I put the defense as the MVP. I just saw those 3 TDs and I forgot all about that donut. And that's a pretty big donut because the Orcs knew how to can score. So that's a great point, Alex.
Dang, was it really that 56 yards?
56
It was a
yards
dominant defensive. Like,
I was
absolutely.
Yeah, no, nothing got done.
I didn't realize it. Wow.
And, even though I said in our pregame, like, look, these are both technically rookie coaches as far as I'm concerned, because, again, until you make a vet run, I think, there's a lot to learn in your first run. But Monsoon has all the momentum behind him as far as, where he's at after the past 2 seasons, doing as well as he has. You hope for for the best for hot hands, but you think like it's a real David versus Goliath matchup. But he killed it. I mean, and he didn't do just well in the run game. He did great passing the ball as well. Like in every way he could have won, he did. You know, it wasn't one of those ones where you're like, well, you play it 10 times again, maybe it goes, 9 times the other way, 7-3, whatever. No, you can play this 10 more times and he's going to win this game.
Yeah, this, like I said, it doesn't matter how many times you want to play it. He's winning this game and hands over foot. Hot Hands is the first rookie coach I've seen truly do what a lot of these streams I mentioned. I'm like, the new guys, they just need to be opening to learning and don't be afraid to ask everyone and talk to everyone and gather information. Again, it's what I've done in the history of the game, and it's a lot of others have too. I know Kurt has too, and some others. Hands asks everyone questions. He doesn't just sit there and go, why, or that doesn't make sense. He absorbs. And when when his team was playing Armada, I helped him do that game, and won. But part of it too was I'd send him like copies of tactics, like here's the base tactics. So when he saw, like there was something switched on him when he saw, like he just wasn't confident in his team as much. But as soon as he saw what his team could do to beat Armada's team, he was like, hey, can you send me a copy of this? And I'm like, yeah, I'll send you on Scout, no problem. And he just took it, and he's been messing with his playbooks and stuff a little bit. But he's done that the last 10 games. I mean, he's beat Hayro not once, but he's beat Hayro twice, and he beat the snot out of him twice.
Yeah, that's true too.
And one of them he just straight kind of, because I could see the stuff, and he just kind of used some of my stuff, but he used it to learn instead of just, I'll just throw this in there and let this other coach run. No, he wanted to know why it works or what it is. I mean, he asked me, I know he asked Germ and Alex too, questions on builds that are just weird sometimes. Where he's like, what? And then we tell him, he doesn't just want to know, oh, it won't work, thanks. Why won't it work? Okay, once you give him the explanation, then he goes, okay, that makes sense. And he almost always, you can see it clicks in his mind because he gives another turn and goes, so if I did this, I'm like, absolutely.
He's the anti-GE.
That's true.
That's a good
answer, Feep here. So Feep, I'm using Twitch Studio actually, but there's probably a game thing somewhere in there that I'll have to look at. Maybe I'll do some between this stream and the next stream that I do. Just kind of do some test streams to kind of play around with it a little bit. Trying to work on the stuff that we were talking about, the voice stuff, Alex, you and me and higher growth we're talking about. And like I said, I got to get this chat overlay off. I'm
sorry, I was just talking.
I think if anything is taken away from the Underdog and Orcs game, it's the mismatch between the corners of Underdogs and the wide receivers of Dorks.
Yeah.
All of the screens, well, they're great in theory. If your entire blocking regiment is on the ground in front of them before the ball is thrown, it's not a good position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a lot of it.
And then all he sees is a wall of defenders.
And a lot of his drives actually ended up getting killed because of it.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, they were. When you watch the game, exactly what Scott said, that it wasn't just, they reacted. They were standing there just waiting, like, catch it, I dare you.
I think Hot Hands is actually...
Yeah, I ran a lot of nickel to have the CBs off on the screens.
Nice.
Yeah, that was really, really strong.
I think for Mon's thing, that was Hot Hands. Yeah, he's talking.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks for joining us there, bud. Congratulations again. We're all pretty impressed.
I lied about my offense for like the whole season. I didn't want anyone to remember that I could pass the ball like that.
But I think too, I even picked you to win in the pregame just because I mentioned that you had all this star power in the middle of the field, which I thought was really going to help you. But I think Monsoon got in his own head. I think he saw the same thing I did. He's like, okay, well, I can't run at this, so I'll try and go to the edges. But it goes back to you got to kind of believe in your offense to some degree too, right?
Oh, 100%.
All right, any more?
Yeah, I put that season on the halfback there, but it ended up paying out at the end.
He still got
even the halfback. I think the halfback would have won the game for you alone with how he ran. 3.5 yards, sure, it's not star-studded, but that's enough to win you a championship if you just run the rock 60 times.
Yeah, 3.5 yards a rush, you're getting a first down every 3 plays, roughly.
Well, welcome to the Champions Club, Hot Hands.
And honestly, with how your defense played, I think you could have ran the ball today. It would have been 10-0 instead of 31-0, but it would have been the same outcome.
Yeah, once you guys taught me how to counterplay stuff, I mean, it was like the defense just became so much more clear to me. Because I ran the same defensive playbook until almost the end of the league games. Up until Armada, I ran the same defensive playbook.
I'm going to have to look at that defensive playbook. I like my defensive playbook. I mean, I even showed you guys in one of the videos, right? And actually, I have to credit Alex, like, with helping me understand in the 4-3, that the middle linebacker is responsible per man, is responsible for at least the plays that I chose for the halfback and such. So I'm interested to see the differences for sure. Moving on to Mercury League. Yeah, this is right, people. GE's Sooners are the champs with a 22-0 victory over RRR. And I did give the MVP to GE's defense in this one. And notice, even with the things that we sent out telling people and even calling GE out, you'd think this would be his opportunity to hop on, but he chickens out. And did you hear, Hot Hands, when I said you're the anti? That's a compliment, by the way, that you're the anti-GE, right? As far as like listening to the vets and not trying to do everything your way.
Hot Hands got off.
I think he's still on the Twitch, but yeah, put up the voice.
All right, guys, take it away.
What is there to say about this game?
GE won.
Nothing. Yeah, GE won. There's nothing to see here.
The AFK all-run team lost to the team that's built with all anti-run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The actual championship game was when GE played Hero, and he took him to the woodshed, so... Yeah, it's earned.
66 or something.
It's earned, but it's a bitter pill to swallow. Took us 30 seasons to get here, and it came too soon, to be honest.
All right. So I do have to say, GE, that I am gaining more respect for you. I just give you a hard time because that's what we do. You've matured a lot over the years. And finally you're winning. So I'm not going to take that away from you. I still think you got a long ways to go, kid. All right.
I've said it a lot of times. Everyone loves GE. He's great for the community because we all have to be giving him crap. So it's part that, he beat the crap out of Hero, so he got the good win there. I
said before, he's the retirement home version of me. He's my future self when I'm washed up and all my shit talking comes back to haunt me.
Coming up next, the Breaking Wind. The Wind League, where Adderfist, Green Bay Freeze.
He said that Hero had to be throwing.
Adderfist, Green Bay Freeze champs with a 16-10 win over the House of the Drunken Lads, right? And he had to beat my team to even get in there, and he beat convincingly, and he won his first round convincingly. Wasn't there some AFK-age for a little while there too during the beginning of the season there, Adderfist? And
Yeah, like all the way up to like 8 games in.
probably the most exciting end of any game this championship day was who I gave the MVP to. Your wide receiver, Ivan Dougherty, with that game-winning 82-yard touchdown reception. So why don't you tell us about your championship, your season? You're the champ, so we're going to give you the platform after me, obviously, because I'm the stream person.
You're the MC.
You guys got to come up with some kind of cool nickname for me, like the fucking wizard or something like that. Although it's already taken. Anyways, Adderfist, take it away, my friend.
So this game in particular was reverse of how I normally do it. I normally play the offense, and then I just make our defense is good enough. I thought I had a really good read on the defense, and I actually did that first, and I changed the way I played offense around it. I knew if he gets an advantage in the snow with the power back and the morale, or like any tackling skills at all, really, because that's how he really beats you. Ninja does a really good job of that. So I was worried if I go in and I throw the ball a lot and it doesn't work out perfect for, let's say, 2 series, if my morale's going to be tanked for an entire half and then he's going to run away with the game. So I ran more than I normally would. I ran 60% of the time as like my base. And normally into him I'd probably do like 50-50. And I just kind of picked, these are really big plays for throwing, and I just tried to pair them with the inside running plays. So he's either going to have all of his zone linebackers pushed up, and I'm not going to be able to run with a squat, but I'm going to get the big plays and some of the big throws where I'm going to get him opening up on 2nd down, 3rd down. Or I'm going to be able to run on him consistently, and I'm going to fight for every single yard and just try to extend drives. Although I will say, I hate my superstar kicker.
He missed a few?
He missed a few.
Yeah,
From
he missed a 30-yarder.
A 30-yarder.
I thought
from the inches.
when I was watching this game, when I saw you miss the 30-yarder field goal in overtime, I immediately sent Alex a message like, I think he just lost his game in overtime from a 30-yard miss.
Although, I will say, I predicted this game to be a massacre, and I'm upset with Scott because I was absolutely right. He threw for 12 yards an attempt and only threw the ball like 20 times. Come on, if you just aired it out, you would have just killed him like 16
25 times. But
yeah.
if I had done that, and I have 1 or 2 little bad stretches, it probably loses me the game in a like 45 to like 12 or something.
Well, yeah, but then just don't. Just don't do that, and then you win. It's easy.
Well, I'll take this as not just a championship win, but also a win because I got second win to actually matter in the fourth, fifth, and sixth quarter.
He gets to claim his terrible essay choices, actually.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Don't take second wind if you're watching this. It's bad. Don't listen to Scott.
Yeah, I was going to say at some point, I keep like, and then I keep going to the next slide, that not only is this a champions stream, but for I'd say younger coaches and all but maybe the very top coaches, having you guys at the table and some of the stuff that you've talked about, guys, don't glance over that. These are some really golden nuggets that these guys are dropping on you. They are the best coaches in the game, and
I do want to say something about this game in a second.
Their knowledge and wisdom with you. Take it away.
So one of the things is, compared to what Scott's done most of the season, Scott did a great job to win this game, because you see 16-10 on with his offense is crazy to think. Because Ninja's been great all season with this team. I actually disagree with Alex. I agree 100% with Scott that if Scott would have went heavy, just passed with his team against him, I think he would have lost. Because I think he would have ended up getting 3 or 4 turnovers, gotten more sacks than he wanted. By him finally, from him being able to get a little more run finally going, it's that same thing. Ninja's defense has a good D-line pass rush. But when it's getting ran at a little more, it doesn't do it as well. And the other one, too, is on that as well. Scott did a great job. I think Ninja, quite frankly, and I hate to say this, did a terrible job offensively. Because it's what we've said about multiple games with the snow. You can't just throw it 30 times a game, every time try to throw it deep in the snow. You can throw it sometimes. But when you look at his passing, pretty much all of his passes were deep throws, straight fades. You just can't do that in the snow as well as you can doing the cuts and the out routes and stuff. And they just simply could. Ninja's still only in his, 3rd season back in the game.
I don't think it's necessarily an issue with passing, it's when he's passing. If I had to take any critique from my scouting, he was very easy to kind of catch the trends, understand what he's doing and why he's doing it. And unless he did something that was a big shakeup, it was going to be like just absolutely smothering. He needed to pass more on 1st down and less on 3rd down. He needed to be running on 3rd down.
Yeah, you're hoping that 3rd and short more.
Yeah.
And he had some routes that he threw that worked perfect.
Hit some really good plays.
Yeah, when you run the shake route, he hit perfectly, which is just anytime you look at Scott's team, that's one of those routes that it's has issues with. And then he would just run fades. And that just, I think some of those, especially like I said, 3rd and 10 in the snow when awareness is hit hard, you're slower, trying to just run a fade route, it's not going to be good.
And that's especially true because of the scouting. I knew that they were going to do screen passes at a 30% rate, and they're going to do actual passes at a 70% rate at 3rd and 10.
Yeah.
Hey, I just know.
And that's where I just kind of felt it was on him on this so much. Scott did a great job, but I think he just kind of dropped the ball on this one so much.
And the other thing that I did is I actually did my scouting and I modified everything towards the run by 10 to 15 points in every situation. So,
yeah, and that worked well for you.
Just noticed this league's aptly named for the weather that we had this championship day. The Wind League.
Yeah, I'll actually blame myself here a little bit too, because when we did our talk, I said that passing would be absolutely miserable in this weather. But I think for newer coaches who don't understand how wind works, they just kind of took that as gospel, didn't understand why it would be bad. The reason why wind is bad, guys, is because it blows in one direction all game long. So that means for half the game you're throwing into 22-mile-per-hour winds. But it also means that for half the game you're throwing with 22-mile-per-hour winds. And that makes your passes zippy, they're extra accurate. It's actually great. It's just you can't know ahead of time which side of the ball you're going to get first. And if you come out the gate passing into those winds and you're relying on that to win you the game, you can end up in a big morale spiral. And that's why we often don't pass.
yeah, that was definitely the case why I was as heavy a run, but I was still throwing deep at a decent clip. Because you get 1 or 2 of those big ones, this game shows it, then you're going to be coming out ahead.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Congratulations, Adder, to the Ice Baby League. Monsoon gets a championship with his Blood Ravens in a close one, 7-3 over the Springfield Adams. I gave the MVP in this one to Monsoon's defense. What do you all think?
MVP is the failure of Bo.
I agree.
I agree.
I think Monsoon did a good job capitalizing off of it. But, man, you gotta have the right depth chart in the championship game, man. You gotta double check that.
I gotta be honest though, I don't think it actually mattered. Like the whole I'm gonna swap the QB that only plays in goal line to play 2 wide and the one that only plays 2 wide to goal line is so predictable. And honestly, ineffectual goal line runs just suck. Doesn't matter which quarterback's doing it. You know, when you're using too wide passing, but you only have a tight end, so you're using out of position players everywhere else on your offense. Like, that's not going to work, man. And I get why he had to do it that way because, like I said in our pregame, is that his team is so boxed in and one dimensional. But yeah, I think even if you got the depth chart right, it wouldn't have mattered here.
I mean, if you're that boxed in and one dimensional, why don't you just run it back? It's what your team is made to do.
That's what I thought he would do. Like, because what alternative do you have?
What you know you're good at.
Yeah. But I mean, maybe the losses earlier in the. I have to imagine because he goofed his depth charts, right? He lost his first 2 games, and he's like, shit, I better fix this because people have figured it out, and then did kind of a shoddy job of getting everything set back up in time.
I'm so happy for Monsoon. Anyway, Bo has his share of championships. This is both.
I mean, Monsoon still scored on him. You got a touchdown. Like, these games are not super high scoring games.
Well, some are.
Sorry, horses.
I had someone else gets destroyed. I had a customer, so come back to this. Alex is right that the goal line runs suck. But like when you watch this game with Bo having his quarterbacks mixed up, I think just in the goal line plays, his quarterback was getting outside of a couple of 1-yard runs, he was getting 5 or 6 yards a lot. So it's one like maybe having the actual running one would have done more. And then, but even then, I think it still would have ended up being Monsoon's win, but it would have been like 10-7 instead of 7-3. Yeah,
I'm surprised about just Monsoon. I thought he would score a lot more. I mean, 7 obviously was enough to win the game, but his offense has been great all season long.
I think this was one when I watched it, and I think Monsoon may have clicked into this one when I was stringing it. I mean, he may not have, but I think this was one too when I was watching. It was the pass play selections just weren't that good. The run was fine for the most part. He did good there. Just when he needed to pass, it wasn't good pass plays for dealing with the snow and the wind together.
Yeah, I don't think he'll figure that out. And honestly, looking at the scoreboard, though, at the box score, the offense that he was doing was good enough to have more points in this. So there must have been some close stops that I didn't see. That
was
quite a bit.
There was quite a few 1 or half-inch stops.
Yeah, that can really. I mean, you can have a game that's a 40-point swing off of just 3rd and inches stops and 3rd and short stops.
All right, moving on to the Ghost League. The Phenoms KC Crowns pull off the victory 16-13 over Screens Are a Crutch. That would have been 3-3 for DL, right? Is Screens Are a Crutch? That's DL's team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Kurt and I.
Yep. And the MVP on that one, winning 16-13. I gave the MVP to Phenom. I didn't see a standout. I think his calling was what won in that game. What are your guys' thoughts?
I'm disappointed with Edgar and not winning this game. Should have been able to do it.
Yep, and I don't blame you. We couldn't get the screens. Didn't quite break enough tackles today, so we stunk.
I mean, you ran for 7 yards a carry. What are you doing? How can you not win this game? They got distracted, but yeah, I mean, it came down to that. Like, one team ran the ball exceptionally well, but ran it a little. One team ran the ball solidly and ran it a lot, and that team won.
Oh, you know what? I need to ask you.
Yeah, running at a 40% clip is not great.
Really want you.
Right?
But yeah, I mean, it's a good win by DeFeatum. I didn't think he could do it, but he did good. And
there's only 5 punts in the whole game. I mean, I don't know.
And he
Don't know
proved
what
me
to say
wrong,
about that,
I
right?
said that. Yeah, I said that he only could screen. He passed to his tight end 9 times, caught 8 of them. He looked good. You take those away, maybe Edgar wins this one.
Now up for my most favorite league championship of the day, Tungsten League, where DL coach Jim Ratz beat the Wizard King, the MVP, halfback, treadmill, 341 all-purpose yards, 5 receiving touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdowns. Those screens were working all day for the treadmill. Before I let Alex speak to this, I do want to thank Edgar, because after watching some of the morning games, even before that, I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do because of the wind. I can't throw because of the defensive line, Wizard King's defensive line. I was worried about treadmill doing his thing, and I asked Edgar, I was like, so what would you do if you were me, if you were in a situation? And he kind of settled me down and suggested off-tackle runs, quick passes to the tight end, who's a superstar. And then I followed up with, hey, do you think screens will work? And he's like, yes. So not only did he give me that, because originally I was kind of going with a lot of run, because I think treadmill is our team MVP. And I was going to run inside. I was going to run off tackle, a little. I was just going to give you a little bit of everything. But Edgar kind of calmed me down, and I think that was a great call on the off tackle runs and the short, quick passes.
Yeah, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with this team going forward, because the whole challenge of this team is this cursed challenge to me to win Soft Elite using all plays that nobody uses, right? Well, the reason why people don't use these plays is that they're really, really bad. And apparently the screens was a weakness I had not foreseen. They are exceptionally bad to the screen. So I've got to figure out how I'm going to reconfigure my build to try and hide that, because this was an absolute stomp. I would say also the MVP is absolutely not treadmill, and it is one Aaron Germana for coming up with the game plan to thoroughly pound me into the dirt. Because I thought, okay, you're going to run me all game long, but treadmill, that part I wasn't surprised about. And stat line, 3.5 yards a carry, it's fine, but I'm okay with that. Like, if I lose it with allowing 3.5 yards a carry, so be it. But yeah, it's the screens. 20 screens, averaging 9 yards an attempt, 249 yards after the catch. You can't come back from that. And then not only that, fucking Dale Kirk's defense, man. 5 turnovers unanswered. Just giving you all the attempts in the world to keep burying the dagger.
That's what he does.
That's what he does. I had the ball for a commanding 17 minutes in this game, as they just did whatever they wanted. That's the entire time. The only oddity that stands out to me, right, is my book is, like Edgar mentioned, a 50-50 pass run offense. I ran the ball 3 times this game. I don't know.
Pass when you get behind them, or do you turn?
The only thing I can think of is that because it's on a different account, right? Is that when I set up my offensive tactics in that account, I forgot to take away the trailing tactics. So maybe that's what happened. But either way, 3 rushes all game is crazy.
Yep. Because you weren't down that big that fast. Yeah, you should have certainly had more.
Yeah, even looking at the game, like I think the default's like 22 points. Even that was until the end of the second quarter. So I don't know how I only ran 3 times before then, if that's what happened. But yeah, I don't know. It was a great win anyway. It wouldn't have mattered. I was going to lose anyway, but it's just a weird thing.
Other guys want to chime in before we go on to the Dark League? What's up next?
I don't even know what to say about this one. 3 rushes on a 50-50, that's rough.
Yep.
It had to be the tendency, like he said, but yeah, it's something bizarre.
But yeah,
it's probably the trailing.
your offense was really, really good. Just the 45 rushes to 3.5 yards is just enough to make it worth it. 30 of 35 on completions with an 8.1.
That's because most of our throws were screens, and the other
Still count as passing stats. It's just consistent. Just consistent offense on every single play. Hard to beat a team that's going for between 4 and 8 yards every single play.
I was surprised that it played out like it did. I was grateful but surprised. Both sides. I mean, DL's defense and then the offense. With the weather that we had, I did not know what to expect. All right, are you guys ready to move on to the Dark League? The dark side?
Yeah, why not?
All right. The Dark League, another win for DL Kurt. This one is Northwest Storm, 20-14, a little bit closer. This one over Ince Ain't Dead Either. And I gave the MVP to halfback Brickhouse with 348 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Edgar, Ince Ain't Dead, that's you, correct?
It's Joker owns the team. Original Joker owns the team. But yeah, I set it up. Part of the team, I just wasn't. I didn't want to be picky with people because we were throwing it together fast and fun. We did take an agent that's kind of known for going insanely willy-nilly on bills. But there's part of this is like it's Scott for a while has set up, had one of his offenses in, and then he came off of it. A germ was there. He had a copy he put on. The offense is, we kind of knew the offense wasn't going to be good because it's all pass, and it has its big weakness of just being able to pass tag easy, especially when you can just put people deep. We kind of knew that. The part that was actually shocking, the fact that the game was close at all, was that I did do a defensive game plan. I was like, well, let me at least give them a shot. I didn't mess with the offense. I just did the defense. And obviously, because to get it in, the whole basis of the team is to get to basically 85 to 100 interception on all the linebackers, corners, and safeties. And it's so expensive that we have probably the least amount of run defense in the entire game. There's probably rookie teams better at it than us. That even with run tags, we couldn't stop a wet paper bag. But it's funny to see the team even manage to make that game close.
I mean, to me, the biggest mystery is how it was close at all. If you go to the stat page, right, Northwest Storm ran 52 times for 6.6 yards a carry, passed 23 completions on 30 attempts for 7 yards a pass. They had 554 total yards of offense, and yet somehow amass a mighty 20 points.
Yeah.
Where are the touchdowns? Where did they all go?
They would get down to like the 30 and turn it over. And
they had a turnover this game.
Did they?
How do they had 2. Sorry, they had 2. I was misreading. But yeah, they had 2.
Yeah, I was like, I know we did.
But they weren't even interceptions, funny enough, either. It was fumbles. Yeah, it wasn't even interceptions.
No. This team gets, for having all defensive players have like 70 to 80 interception at sophomore, they get almost no interceptions.
It goes to show it's more than just interception, right? It's physicals and awareness and everything.
Right.
Too.
Yeah,
I think the thing is you need just enough not to flub your deflect rolls, and that's literally all you should be putting into it.
And we for a long time suspected that like 30 or 40 int is all you really need. But I will say it's kind of disappointing that is the case, right? Like, just give yourself a chance for the roll because it's so unreliable that no matter how much you invest in it.
It's literally one of those things that it's, like you said, you would think if I take this to 100, it should just increase my chance. Even if I'm a little slower, my radius for the pick has to go up, and it just doesn't. I don't care what they want to say. It does not. They are just so detrimental because of the cost, which is not, I'm not saying boosted at all. It's just one, yeah, it's so expensive that you were just so bad.
You want to pair it to wide receivers. Wide receivers, if you have a big play guy, go to 60 hands. You don't need more if you've got all your points and speed.
If you're wide open, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're designed, you're like, I'm open or I'm not, and it doesn't matter otherwise.
And this is that same kind of thing. You're never going to be open. So just try to get the chance to maybe get it.
Yeah, I do agree that, and so if anyone's watching, right, like, if you're debating between, like, oh, I could have, like, 90 intercepting and I'll have, like, 30 deflecting, like, no, go, like, 65-65 or 60-60. That's a much better way to play the game.
I would tell you at this point, with me having all the zone teams, this season at Vet, across all my teams, the best team to get interceptions is the team that has the most deflection and probably the lowest interception investment. They've been the best team at getting them. But part of that is what Scott mentioned on is we know for a fact the roll for interceptions is when a pass is incoming, you get an interception roll, complete or not, and you get a deflection roll, and then you get another interception roll. So it really falls into, if you just have 30, 40 interception, I really just tell you to get 40. Then if you can get the more deflection, the better, because then the deflection roll is going to help you make you teams not complete the pass anyway, and then it's going to raise your interception roll on the second time.
Yep.
And do you guys think that possibly the interception rolls are like messed up by catching traffic, and
They absolutely are.
that makes that a lot less likely to happen than deflection. I mean, is there any counter CIT? Is there any counter to deflections?
The deflection, no, just be open, right? But
receiving awareness and catching traffic. Receiving awareness will actually get you to come back a lot of times.
Receiving awareness, maybe, yeah, actually. Catching traffic is kind of a mixed bag, right? Because the deflection technically happens before the pass gets to the wide receiver, right? Like, they can deflect the ball before the wide receiver gets a chance to make the play of it. But also, though, yeah, like, catching traffic does help you. Because if you don't know as a player, right, deflecting does more than just increase your chance to bat the ball away, right? There is an invisible bubble around your defenders, and that determines what is a catch and traffic role for the offense. And the more you raise deflecting, the bigger that invisible bubble gets, right? So by just increasing your deflecting, it may not look sexy on your stat page, right? You're like, oh, I've got all this deflecting, but I've only got 15 PDs on the season like that. Well, no, it still matters, because it's still making a lot more contested rolls happen that otherwise wouldn't be.
A good example of that is SWAT down. SWAT down looked terrible for a long time, right? Well, yeah, you're not getting the benefit from the SWAT giving you morale because you're not actually hitting the ball, but you're still getting the benefit for catching traffic, like where it makes it harder to catch. So even now it's a lot better because of stuff, but previously that used to really just not be a good essay because of it.
Yeah, it used to be terrible. And even onto what they're saying for even take receivers, same concept like where they were talking about an open receiver can, if you're just going pure speed guy, you can go lower hands because you're the open, you're not. Catching traffic isn't just a build that you just straight can go, hey, I'll just go to 100 catching traffic and call it a. No. You still have a level there where if the defender's there before you are, he has a better chance of winning that role. So even giving the catch and traffic guys are naturally slower, you're still doing things like high quickness, high route tech. That way they can still just get that sliver of space between them and the defender that they can use the catch and traffic role versus just straight, I'm just going to just straight try to box them out and then they kind of win.
Yeah.
So you're still getting things like quickness or route tech to get that route elusiveness, to get that slight separation right before the ball gets there.
So my comparison is always wide receivers to halfbacks. Route elusiveness is like elusive running for a halfback, and catching traffic is like power. One gets you open, the other one, if you're not open, it resolves it. It runs the person over basically like you would for a halfback.
Yeah.
See, I'm learning new things too. I was a big believer in big catch and traffic is trying to limit the interceptions, but now I see the error of my thinking. That it doesn't.
Well, I think you might be correct though. I need to go back and look because when I had Dark Age, I don't know if you remember that team, but it was early on to the date apocalypse. That team had no catch and traffic. Every wide receiver on that team had 14 catch and traffic because it was just living and dying by that philosophy, right? We've got 4 superstar wide receivers and a superstar quarterback. Find the open man. There will be one of them. Throw him the ball. You know, that was the offense. It worked all right. Some games were great. Some games not so great. But I am curious to go back now and look at the quarterback for that team's interception rate and then compare it to quarterbacks of teams that do have very high catch and traffic, because I think actually you are onto something about that. I think interception chance is modified by catch and traffic.
Yeah, because I do remember Dark Age threw a little more picks kind of than some others, and even we talked about that is Grapes tend to kind of throw a little more interceptions than other teams too, and they don't have as high catch traffic as most teams. So that's possible, because you do also get, if you think about some of the quarterback SOs, the TCM. So when it activates, you get a bonus to catch and traffic, but you also get reduction in things. That one sideline bomb does a deduction of interception. Does the TTM do that as well?
Yes, it reduces. I think it reduces radius of interceptions, or just the interception thing like that.
So
it doesn't
just catching traffic, and it reduces the interception chance.
Yeah.
The one that reduces is a quick hitter.
Yeah, that's the one that.
And sideline bomb does too.
Yeah.
But a lot of those ones, when you look at those essays for the quarterback, you also will notice, while it's mentioning the reducing of the interception, it also a lot of times has a bonus to like receivers catching traffic. So it's kind of fair to at least assume they have to have a little bit of a link.
Yeah, they may be connected for sure.
All right, 2 leagues to go. Zinc and Sida. Zinc, XFL Rejects. That is not Vinny, but Vinny is actually Tecmo, Ryan Leaf is Bo, correct?
Yes, I do believe that's the case.
And this was a battle of field goals, 9-3 over the Florida-Bama Flash. And for that reason, I gave the kicker, Tom Aries, with his 3 field goals, the MVP. Like I said, I didn't get to watch. I think the only game that I watched was Jim Rats versus the Wizard. Just because.
At least you picked a good one. I'm sure you had a good time.
I would think it's a pretty boring game to watch here. This one.
Oh, defensive battles are fun.
That kicker didn't have 3 field goals, by the way.
How did they get 9 points?
A touchdown and a safety.
Really?
Yeah, touchdown and safety.
Yeah.
Then that would have been more interesting. I done screwed that up.
No, I watched
3 misses for field goals in the game too.
Yeah.
It was a terrible game. To be honest, you watched this game. It was an atrocious game. It looks like you threw a pair of puppies in there to fight over. They were only a day old, fighting over a sock. It was just a terrible game because nobody could do anything. Everyone kept they both kept turning it over. I mean, it was, neither could run well, neither could pass well. So it came down to, because even that touchdown actually happened off of, I think when I watched, if I remember right, it happened off a turnover.
To Bo's credit, he just marched down the field and scored. That was like the only possession where his offense worked. He just marched on the field, got his 80 yards, got his touchdown, and then went back to being completely ineffectual after that again.
Happened right after morale refill.
No,
Yeah.
it was a turnover. Bo punted the ball. There was a turnover on the punt return.
No?
I'm literally watching the play. It's in the third
Oh, it's in
quarter.
the middle of the drive. I see it now. It's because it's...
Yeah.
Okay, I see it. Yeah, it's weird because it... Yeah, now I do see it.
Yeah,
That
literally.
sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks bad.
The rest of the game was such a sleeper that it was hard to to see that big play, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the safety happened because he had a punt that landed on the 6-yard line.
Yeah, and it was the thing that Edgar complained about before where, inside the 5, you only run because you don't want to risk the safety, but as soon as you're outside that 5, you go back to passing, and you're still within the range of being sacked for a safety on 6 yards.
Because most sacks can go 6 to 7 yards. To me, that tactic needs to be moved to 10. And it's also, I say that because Bortz told us changing the tactics, like to add defensive red zone tactics, is really difficult for him. Or it just takes a lot of work. So I'm like, well, if he's going to change coding, just changing 5.
Because at least compromise it to 7, because 7 you're still outside the range.
And that's, I originally,
7 is your max goal for how far your quarterback can drop back.
Yeah, and that's where I said, okay, well, you need to make it. At the end of the day, Bort, like Alex said, okay, we'll make it 5 and 10. And I'm like, well, Bort acts like it's a lot of work to add a new section, but to him to just change a yardage mark in the setting, that should be easy. That should just be 3 clicks of a button, because he's just changing 5 to 10. And he was like, well, 10's too far. And I'm like, well, it just prevents, that way you don't get sacked for safety. And that's where he said, well, all right, 7 yards is, the max distance, and so it's less safety-like. All right, maybe so.
But yeah, I mean, if you look outside of that, right, all of Ryan's points came off of turnovers or defensive plays. But in theory, Matt King Craig should have won this game 3-0. He did outgain Bo Diddley in the game. He had 100 yards more than him. But
it actually falls in that. You see, he ran. What is the one thing we saw in most of these games? The winning team ran for at least 3.5 yards a carry.
And ran more than they passed. That's another thing. You got to run more than you pass. Or at least
and in this game,
close. But in this game, 33% run, 66% pass. You're really kind of opening yourself up there to some...
But it shows, once again, at 3.5 yards a carry in champ game with snow, if he just ran it,
that's all he had to do.
Time,
he ran for 3.5 yards a carry. Bo ran for 1.7 yards a carry. One team's going to win.
It's one of the things that matches real football. And you kind of see that in champ games, is if you can run for at least 3.5 yards a carry and not turn the ball over, you win champ games in real football too. And that especially in bad weather. And that's kind of the theory. That's the whole thing you see today.
That's probably my biggest downfall is I hate running. Just, give the halfback the ball and do it.
I mean, that's what
I don't like, just play cover 2 for everything that's a pass and cover 1 for everything that's a run, which is kind of where the game is at for defense.
That's kind of what we always wanted random weather in postseason, right? Snow's fine, but let's have a sunny day for once. Let's have rain for once, even though I would hate that. But I mean, spice it up. It kind of sucks that we all know, okay, end of the season time, power backs are stronger than they normally are. You better have your hometown hero and road warrior, watch out for screens. And it's kind of the same song and dance.
We always get the weather. It's always a factor. And it's one of those things you kind of just get used to, that it actually makes it, for me, when I'm game planning a newer coach at a playoff champ game, it's a little more tricky than when I game plan these more advanced guys that are similar to me and everyone here on the stream, that, okay, I know they know that. So I know they're going to lean into those things. So now, how can we maneuver around that and still do it? Because we all still want to do it. We know we need to do it to win. So how can we manipulate our playbooks to stop the other one person from doing it and for us to still be able to do it. Going in knowing if they're a good coach, they're going to tag me for it, but I can still see how I can make it work.
I think too, it's a little unfair to some coaches, right? Coaches who favor that kind of big offensive style. You know, Bo Diddley gives me nightmares in the regular season, but it's time for snow. I can beat him. It's not even a big deal because his most dangerous weapon's gone. He can't run fast anymore. You know, like if it was rain, that's an actual matchup. You know, if it's a clear day, I don't pull my hair out trying to figure out how I'm going to stop his offense. But it's snow, so it's fine.
Has Bort said why he won't randomize weather like on the?
So,
I'm assuming he randomizes it during the regular season.
Yeah, he does.
It snow during the regular season, but still between rain and other type stuff during the regular season. But seems bound to have shitty weather in the most important time of the year. Like you said, it gives an advantage to one style of play.
A game, yeah. If it's going to be random, that's fine because everyone's equally at an advantage or disadvantage if it's truly random. Bort said in the past that he wanted to mimic real football, right? Which is you play starting in, August and September, so it's kind of the tail end of summer, and then you move throughout the season. You end up, it's January, February. So if you're in Foxborough or something like that, it's going to be snow, right?
It should be random, though. It should be random because
I agree because
in sunny places, Arizona,
absolutely,
Tampa Bay.
Yep.
San Diego.
And the funny thing is, that's what even funny is because you're more likely in the first round playoffs to get just dog water. I mean, we saw it this year in the NFL. You had Kansas City playing in negative 30 wind chills. You had Buffalo where it snowed 15 feet 2 days before. You had that all over the league. I think 49ers game, it was raining the whole game.
No,
in fact, almost every playoff game had crazy weather until you hit Super Bowl, where they kind of, if it's not domed, it's in really pretty weather.
I would rather see truly randomized weather than the whole, pick your dome or not, because then everyone will be picking domes,
I mean, I've literally said that for 70 seasons at this point, where you should have weather in a region, and you should have, I would say, no domes. Pick your region.
I think even that, it's too much of a finger on the scale, though, because you'd have people building, high balance teams, and they play in Seattle, and it just rains every fucking game, so that gives them a big advantage. I think just make weather random. We don't... Yep. Who says GLB has to be on an exact copy of Earth, right? Why can't it be a heat wave one day and negative fucking 12 the next day? It's a game, just have the weather be random because that's fair for everybody. But, and the weird part is, I could have sworn, I think Bort said that he actually implemented code to make this the case, but I guess it just didn't go live for some reason. I don't know if I'm just misremembering here, or if it got glossed over, he lost time.
I think he added it. I think we saw it, but I just don't think he was specific in what he told us. Because he said he randomized it more. Because we do see now, it used to be, if you ever remember, some regular seasons, it always started, it almost started like the season, literally like we started football in January. Or not January, but right in almost July. You got super hot for the first couple games. Then you just got a shit ton of rain for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, you get down in the south part of the world, that's what you get. You get really hot. August, September, October range, you start getting a bunch of rain again. Then you just start getting cold and windy. And that's kind of the way it was really consistent with that before. Where now, regular season, it does feel random to me. And I think that's what he did. I think he just randomized the regular season where
I wonder if he just forgot to include playoffs in that then, though. Maybe a separate handler for something like that, and that's why. I'll bring it up, though, because I think it needs to happen. Because, for instance, in the Jupiter game, I expected Frost Giants to make it, but had they made it, even though Great Pips won anyway, a team like that is designed to win in the snow. Bo has said in the Discord since now, he doesn't have a hometown hero Road Warrior on his team even. A team like Frost Giants is explicitly designed to just Yeah, do okay throughout the regular season, and then just have no chance of beating them in the playoffs because it's snow. And I don't think a team like that should be allowed to exist. You shouldn't be able to formulate your team knowing ahead of time what your championship game is going to be. You know what I mean? Like, that should be a surprise for everybody. Not only that, but it just picks better coaches. Because who's to say that me or Edgar or anyone else who wins a championship game is the best coach holistically? And we'll know we're just the best coaches at winning in the snow.
And moving on to our final league.
Oh, and also, I hope...
Can you believe that? I put that one in there. Ruh-roh, Shaggy. All right.
I hope, real quick, Matt Key Curtis didn't get discouraged by that loss, though, because I think he had a hell of a rookie season. Like, that loss to Bo Diddley, I hope it doesn't get him down, because he did great throughout the whole season.
Let's go to Cider League. And this one... Oh. Because with the last game, the last league, getting close to showtime and having to get dinner ready and everything for my son.
The Lab and Bill's Mafia.
The Lab won, I believe.
I would be shocked to my core if they didn't.
Cider.
They did. It was low scoring affair, all things considered.
Right? So Feeps Lab 19 to Bills 7. Just quickly looking at who.
I'm disappointed because no return touchdowns yet again for Feep's team.
Yeah,
what the heck, Feep?
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing?
By the way, Scott, I'm sorry for that game that I returned like 4 in one game on you.
Oh, you scouted that one where I had 5 return touchdowns against me? Yeah.
I did that, yeah. And then he did it a couple games later, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I see a team by Feep with all superstar O-line on special teams. I expect some goddamn returns.
So I helped design this team, at least on the kick return side, and it's hilarious because he does. He'll have a game that he gets no kick returns or punt returns, and then for no reason at all, he'll have a game he gets 3 or 4.
I mean, does he though? I'm looking at the halfback now. He got 2 kick returns all season and 5 punt returns. Whereas
one of the wide receivers returns too.
All right, let's see. I'm investigating. Okay, 9-11. A bit better, but is it worth the investment at that point? That's basically just Bo Diddley's regular returner at that point with a superstar special teams.
I think between the two of them, he's got still more than what Bo gets.
Well, sure, but my argument here is if you're spending all that money, I would expect a bit better production than that.
Well,
but
the one thing when he was setting this up, and he was really just focused on special teams.
Going, guys.
Okay.
He was really just focused on the special team returns, and I'm like, well, if you're going to go all these stars, because we're laughing talking about this, how he would set it up. And I'm like, you're gonna make all these builds like 60, 60, 70, 70 and all their blocking. I think it was 50s and 60s because he went super high physicals. I was like, what's funny is you could probably have an okay offense because now you can block, pass, and run decently. Like, you might as well have a regular offense. That way you get more returns. And then he's like, okay. And I'm like, well, you're going to need more. You're going to need some defense to get punt returns. So then he started getting into. He's like, oh, I got to add these. And yeah, even he mentions here the biggest thing is punt returns.
It almost looks like on the punt returns, his players aren't fast enough to get back in the snow.
No, it's actually it's what we figured out. Say we, but he did the work. But it was when he showed. Basically, no amount of physicals will get them back fast enough to block on punt return in this game.
I mean, I noticed this a while back when I was Blitz
talking
about fast.
Yeah.
I did the experiment one and noticed that they get.
Well, we just had a dark age.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I were talking about it. Yeah, and you were messed up, and I'm like, you got dark age, and those receivers fast it gets. Just move them.
Yeah, I believe that's probably true, Phoebe. I only contend that for the investment, what are we doing here? You've got like maybe a handful more return TDs. So it's just, for the investment, you would expect more. I honestly wonder though, Feet. Here's a question to you, right? Wouldn't it not be better to have these all as wide receivers because they can still take blocking and they're pay way less for sprint and quickness? Like they take speedster and things like that. Have your returner be the halfback then, but use 8 superstar wide receivers?
But then they would cost even more money.
Do they take out of position penalties on special teams?
No, they don't. But you just simply, as a star receiver,
Well, of course, cost, but it's feet.
Versus $5 million. Yeah, you can just fit more. Like he has a full 10 blockers.
Yeah. I don't know if you even need a full 10 blockers, right? If the wedge is good, I don't know if it matters.
I still think
I really think what you do for special teams is you build your kick return as all intimidation. You demoralize and beat them up, and then in the punt return, you have a power back or something, and they're all demoralized, and you end up getting touchdowns that way.
I mean, I can tell you that's what I do. I don't get returns, though. It happens once or twice a season. But I will say, if you're a team that's just like, I don't have a returner, throw 50 carry grip on your fullback and have him do returns. And like what Scott's saying there, you can put an all special teams O-line on the field, right, with 100 intimidation. And if teams are fielding their actual defense on your returns, you'll make them pretty damn sad when they get beat down and pancake chefed by these 100 intimidation O-linemen, which should really open things up for you in your actual offense.
I will say what impresses me the most is a team built around the special teams unit like this was, being able to play the defense and the offense to win a championship. So I applaud you, Feet.
I mean, we've all long said and given accolades to Feet that he's a much better coach than his record or trophy case might allude to, right? Anyone who's played Feet, when he actually wants to get you, he will do so. I want to see a real Feet team, and I was hoping that with franchises we would get that eventually, just because I want to play a competitive Feet and have that game against him.
He's a good player. All right, so with that said and done, it's getting late here. I do have a little announcement. So for anybody that's watching it now or that watches the YouTube replay, it has been requested that we create a GLB2 Dundee's award stream. If we're going to do this, members of the community need to message me. Don't send it out like private message me, like on Discord or in the game, your Dundee nominations. I'm not going to do this all by myself with the whole, coming up with nominations. I'm not going to ask my team to do it all by themselves with me. They're more than welcome to give nominations, but if the community wants this, then y'all got to chip in. I'm also going to be working on like a regular awards one, like MVP and some other stuff. There was one other project that I wanted to do as well. A little bit at a time. School, I've got about 5 weeks left of school, and then summer break, and that's when it's really going to get fun. So, if you guys want Dundee's, start messaging me some nominations. I want to, again, thank my team for doing this with me. It lessens my load, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable, and the community gets a lot of those golden nuggets that I was referring to. So I'm going to ask each member of my team to say something, and then we're going to call it a night. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. I am really looking forward to next season because everybody's going to be resetting, or a lot of people are going to be resetting, and it's going to be a crazy rookie class again.
Yeah,
so I'm really looking forward to that.
It'll be like there's an elite rookie league.
Yeah, we may even do like a an opt-in, if people want to be a part of that. A lot of coaches have talked about maybe just messaging board or digital daggers, everybody to talk to and just get an actual, basically, rookie elite league form. So if anyone's interested in that, this would be the rookie class to do it. And I would also just say that, mentioning all of our newer agents of the game, I know some of them didn't have the success they wanted to have today, but just keep at it, because I know Agram's mentioned it as well, but you guys are by far the best players we've seen enter into the game in a long time, and you're going to do well if you keep it up.
Yeah, I 100% agree exactly that. The new guys have been great for being 1 or 2 seasons in. They're learning fast, they're adjusting, and even some of them are just giving us all hell, which is hilarious. The big thing is they'll see these playoffs. This was probably the most extreme champ game I've seen in weather-wise. And if they take the time to kind of see what all the teams that won outside of 2 did, I think it's a good way they can learn from that. And yeah, don't be upset, because even the ones that lost, they lost to other good agents. It's not like anyone lost just kind of on crap ways.
Anyone else? Going. Good night, my friends, and I'll catch you on the Discord, and once I figure out what and when the next project is. Good night, everybody. Signing off.
Take care.
Shut this off.